Hey friends, so today we are going to design this kind of vector blending pattern. How cool is it? This pattern that create a motion in your design, but in a graphic visual design way. So this inspiration is coming from Webisoft, and they got really great website, so check it out. And yeah, let's start it. So let's grab our starter right here, and the main design that we are going to use is in this section. So there are all 4 different patterns. I'm gonna recreate it in this tutorial because the plugin that we are using has a bit of limitation. So I just wanted to point out what kind of constraint that you are facing. So the first one is this one, and I'm going to select the first element and the last element that we are going to blend. So I'm going to post it right here. So essentially that for the plugin to work, and this plugin is called Vector Blender. So Vector Blender, that it will help you blend the shape between these two shapes. So this one is a vector, has 6 points, and this one has a vector with 6 points as well. The first thing that you need to remember is that it can only blend with the same vector points. So let's take a look at this one. So if you look at this shape, and you will see a very interesting thing. So just by roughly looking, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points. And yeah, so for this one, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5 and 6. It shouldn't be working since there are all different vector points number. So what I do is that I create another point right here. So it's so close that it looks like the same. And this is what makes it work, because if you see this one, and I'm going to put it as a 1, then we open up the vector blender again, and this one will be 5 points, and this will be 6 points. Yeah, it lets you select, but when you hit generate, it's not gonna let you do that. Okay, so I'm gonna delete this one and then use the one that we already have. So we are going to blend it. So as you can see that in this shape, you always have to start with the most complicated one. For example, it's everyone except the first. So do it and then make it work. Okay, now we're going to open up Vector Blender and select this first and the last, and then generate, and this looks exactly the same. Okay, now we are going to check out this one. So this one, I'm going to select the first one and the last one, and we'll paste it here. So in this shape and this shape, we can have a different option to create this shape, because I think this shape is the most complicated. So let's hit R to create this shape. Then we go into the vector editing mode. Now what we can do, we have 2 options. So this is the first option. So when we go into a vector editing mode, in this line that we could hold a bend tool and then started to bend this shape to make it become, well, look like this one. Not exactly the same, but yeah, you can adjust the Bezier handle to make it feels like you are having this dome shape. And the other one is that you could click on P and then add a vertical vector point here and click V again. And then we are going to put this point at the left and then hit your bend tool again, command, and then click bend it. And then for this one, you're gonna hold shift to click on this Bezier handle and then start it to drag to make it feel like a dome. Looks pretty good to me. Okay, so why do I need to introduce these 2 methods? Because that one will work and one will not. Do you know which one is? So for now, this will be make it vertical. And since this is a little bit thinner, so I'm going to make sure it's a bit thinner as well. 4, nice. Now let's do this one. So essentially we want these 3 points align, so align on the right, and then also speak back to 4. So there's only one will work, and let's see which one, and I will tell you why. So in the vector blender, select the first shape and the last shape. Then we're going to blend with, I don't know, 15, generate. So as you can see that this basically is not blending. But what about this one? Yeah, it blends. So why is that? So the first thing is you need to know is that it can only blend vector position, not the Bezier. So Bezier handle, like for this one, it only have 4 vector point, and using the Bezier handle to change the shape to become this one. But yeah, in that plugin, that Bezier handle is not working. It doesn't blend Bezier handle, but it does blend for this kind of vector point. So as you can see in this one, we have this vector point here. So the only thing that we do in this shape and this shape is that we change the vector points of this part. See, this Bezier handle is still right here, the same size. Whether you change or not, because that you select this Bezier handle, and then this won't change. This will be permanent Bezier handle. We just change the vector points position. Okay, so this works. But the other thing is that we wanted to create this kind of like mixing together, so this is much more intense and then starting to loosen out. But this is not yet. Yeah, so you just have to experiment a bit on the number of you generate. So in our case, we already generate like 15 of them in this case. So I'm gonna try 20. So this looks like almost the same. 20. Alright. Now let's move on to the third one. Third one is also very interesting. So let's create a circle that the circle is 1, 3, 40, and then we're gonna remove the fill and add stroke. So I'm gonna use 2 as the thinness, and then in the middle we will be using this one is 240. So I'm going to have 240. Honestly, you can blend as you want. This size I'm just replicating from this design, but you can do whatever you want and scale it up and down to your liking. So there's no not much size here, so it's just something that you could play with. So first thing that we have this ellipse, and we have this another ellipse inside, and have different shape of stroke, so it can blend stroke very well. So next thing we will be select this shape, and then the second shape. So how many numbers you need to generate here is basically try and arrow. So now I'm going to try 10 and see how it works. Okay, so it looks pretty nice, but I noticed one thing is that this is the first shape that I have, and the second shape and the first shape is like kind of collapsing like this one. But this is the one effect that I wanted to have, but in this case I don't really want that. So I'm going to revert it back to the original and then reduce down the generation of the element. So I'm going to start with 9. So first and last, and then generate. So now we have this shape that has this kind of gap in between first and 2, not collapsing. I like it, so I'm going to group it all together. So next thing, I will put it in our frame. So this is what I want. So I wanted to also mention on this cute computer. So in this design is about the coding, so I think a good computer is nice. So I turned a photo into this kind of illustration and put it in the inner circle, and I'm gonna do that now. But if you need a other image and then you wanted to learn how to do that, check out the video below. I teach this in another video called photo to illustration. I will quickly demonstrate it right here. So let's start with Lumi. I'm going to select computer, and I like to open Lumi again so it can give me the computer that I wanted to use that all looks similar like this one. And I am gonna try, I think I'm gonna use this one. It's the same one as this. Okay, so let's start it. Let's open up the filters and effects. So in this filters and effect plugin, make sure your original image is at least 800 tall in any direction, because it's kind of compressing after you save the image. Okay, so you need to make sure the original image is big enough. Then the next one I'm going to use is black and white. So this is basically giving a stressor. So this looks kind of nice. To make it very clean, just try not to do this lower edge or upper edge, otherwise you get this shading and it's not really good looking or sharp enough, or this one also. So just trying to do this just by dragging the stressor. Then we're gonna invert, I think, alpha shape. Yeah, it kind of like make other things weird, so let's invert the color a bit to make it black. And this is also not what we want, so we can go back here and invert the selection. Then we are going to unsharp the mask to make sure it has enough detail to come up. So this mask should be put underneath. So see, then we could adjust the radius. I think I like this one. Then we could save the image. The save image will be right here. Now we go back to this graphic, select the inner circle, and then frame it. Command Option G to frame it. Then we could go in there and then turn this ellipse off. Also to make sure the corner radius of this frame is, so put a lot of 9 in corner radius, and then click the content. And we already copied this imagery, and then so we are going to paste it inside. Okay, it's extremely big, so scale it down, and then we can just get rid of fill. And that's it, my friend, for the graphic. Now we are going to move on to the last one. So last one is a moon facing blending. Let's start with a circle that has, I think 200 is what I want. Then we are going to duplicate this and then put it on the side, and we are going to create this kind of new moon shape. So we click enter to enter vector edit mode and select this vertical and put it on the right until it looks like a moon. Not really look like a moon because of this Bezier handle. So we're gonna change it. So this also still not looking like a moon because this kind of thick end. So click on this vertical and make sure the Bezier handle is mirror angle and length. Then we can start doing extend it and hold shift to start extending. Okay, I think this looks kind of nice. So I'm going to duplicate these two because there's something tricky I wanted to show you. So the first one, the vector blender. So this one is a vector, but second one, this one is a shape. It's an ellipse, so it's not going to let you select. So essentially, that's what you can do. You can see this is ellipse, but this one is vector. So what you can do is flatten these circles. So select and then Command E to flatten it. I shouldn't do it all together because it becomes the same shape. So I have to do it like one by one. How do we know if this is a vector already? So let's open up the Vector Blender plugin and then select, and you see this is a vector and this is a vector. Let's go. Now we are going to blend. So there's another tricky part. If you still remember that the Vector Blender doesn't blend the Bezier handle. So if you remember in this shape, we kind of collapse the Bezier handle into only the right hand side. But in the original shape of the circle, the Bezier handle is still 2 hand side. So yeah, the first shape that you select, if they got Bezier handle, then the Bezier handle will be the default, and it will keep become this type of Bezier handle things in between of the element. Let's just do it. I will show it. So this will be 6. So the first shape, second shape, and then generate. Okay, now this one. So do you see the difference? The difference is that in this design, that Bezier hand, the length and the both sides is always been there. But in this one, because we start with this only the right hand side, so if you see this right hand side and this right hand side, okay, so essentially this is what we want instead of this one. Okay, this is collapsing, but that's fine. We could just use this handy tidying tool and then give it a beautiful gap. I think 24 might be a bit nicer. Okay, I'm gonna group it and then duplicate it again and then shift edge to horizontally, then put it together and collapsing in this center moon, then group it. This looks amazing. Now we're going to do another trick. So we click on the fill and then select on pattern, and we're gonna select the source. I'm gonna select this one and choose this hexagonal pattern. And yeah, I want 2 lines there, so let's just scale it down. But don't you think that this 2 shape is too closer? Because essentially, ideally, this should have a round circle. So what we can do is give it a spacing. So I think maybe this could be nice. Okay, you could adjust it differently in X and Y, not necessarily need to be the same. And I feel it is a bit too closer, so I'm going to bump it up. Maybe 10. Yep, this looks nice. But this cut it out a bit, so I will be scaling down. I think this looks perfect for me. So there it is. This is the everything pattern in here, and hope you like it. And if you have any question, please leave a comment below. See you. Bye.